picking out some of the ones to watch there. The two very good Germans. Mariam Dadka, who was in the medals last year in the under-20 ranks. Amy Griffiths, the leading runner returning from this race from last year, finished 5th last year. A very good Dutch runner, Moller as well. So 6,300 meters, just like the under-20 men. 2 short laps of 1 kilometer, 1,500 meters long lap to follow, 2 of those, and then the final 1,300 meter last lap with the run into the finish. And remember, the under-23 races have only been in existence for 13 years. Sorry, this is in fact the 13th edition. I've just got my sums a little bit wrong. They've won 10 of the 12 team races over the years.
They are off. They're sent away by the starter, and immediately in the lead, it's Vanessa Stonet from Team
I think, Phil, this is one of the most open races of the day, both in terms of individual and team placings. I wouldn't like to have to predict a winner, although it would be great for the hosts of the next World Cross Country Championships, who are Denmark, if Moller were to do well here.
Well, Veronica Pezic, top 10 finisher last year in Samarin. She was 8th, the pole at the front.
Immediately, it's a fast race.
Well, they've strung out very, very quickly once again. We've seen now it's quite traditional now for very quick first 400 meters or so. There's Amy Griffiths. She's the leading returner, as we like to call her. Finished 5th last year. She's the only one of the Britons. There was 5 Britons, in fact, in the top 10 last year, but she's the only one of the Britons to be competing in this particular race again, although last year's bronze medalist Jessica Judd we'll see a bit later on in the mixed relay. There's Poppy Tank, Senechal of France, also in the screen. Well, a big bunch compared to perhaps the previous 2 races.
In this leading group are Triana Kera from Switzerland, Veronika Pizic from Poland.
So Vanessa Skaunet, the woman right by the barriers, the Belgian under-20 champion last year. Also a very good 1,500 meter runner. Moving up, Anna Getting. Well, both the gold and silver medalists from last year, both Germans, Anna Ray and Constance Klasterhaufen, would have been eligible to compete in this race. Ray, I've got to be honest and say I'm not quite sure why she's not here. Klasterhaufen has chosen to train in the United States.
Germany still have a good presence at these championships. They've just won a medal in the under-20 men's race, and then in the women's race, senior women's race, we've got Elena Burkhardt, who I think is going to be a strong contender.
So Chiara Scherer of Switzerland at the front. Scherer, as we mentioned, like a lot of athletes, came here. Well, Frenchwoman just losing her footing a little bit, but Scherer finished high up, finished 6th in the Tilburg cross-country race, the Barenda Loop, 2 weeks ago. So a pack of about 15 runners there. Bright yellow running apparel of Nemchenko of Ukraine leading the way.
En in die hele grote kopgroep zien we nog steeds Vanessa Stonet van de plaats of 10 daarachter. Achter Stonet Lisa Roos.
Bright yellow vest I was referring to was Nemchenko's teammate, Moroz. sort of like the dividing line between the leading pack and the rest at the moment. Amy Griffiths starting to push the pace.
Amy Griffiths.
So it's the two Britons at the front.
And she's
It's a bit naughty, wearing slightly different vests. Have a word with the British team officials. Picked up later, that's obviously... We'll have a look and see who's running without a shoe as we flick back down the pack.
En de winnares van Roeselaar van MASTERCLASS België gaat nog steeds mee met de rijders. Gaat nog steeds mee. En we zien inderdaad.
I think it's because one's a crop top and one's a conventional vest. Providing the teams approve the colours, that's all that matters. Obviously, it helps if they are identical, but they are basically the same, I think.
At least there's no Norwegians leading in the leading pack in this race. That could cause.
Well, the confusing thing I find, Phil, is where there's a different colour at the front to the back, because it looks like two different runners. But I don't think that's the case with any of these designs.
Yeah, I think that was the case. Well, speaking of design, yes, certainly the Turkish vests do have that where they're white at the back. You can see how the course is starting to get muddier and muddier as the day progresses. This is the third of 7 races. Datka has worked her way up carefully. The young German.
Ja, daar komen ze eraan door. Een hele mooie groep. Door altijd denk ik een stuk of 20, misschien ook 25 dames die allemaal dus hier nog bij elkaar zitten. Dus er zit een maat Italiaanse Rebecca Loneda die hier een beetje de kosten doet. Ook Ernst en Gering en Dafa zitten voorin. En voor de Belgische dame Vanessa Scarlet.
Also up there is Rebecca Loneda. We haven't said much about her so far. She's been racing regularly on the track, but doesn't have many credentials to her name. She did finish third in the Italian 10,000 metres championship. The 22-year-old Italian who's alongside Chiara Scherder at the moment at the front, with Amy Griffiths, the Briton, at the back as they hit the widest stretch of the course. So after those 2 shortish laps of 1 kilometre, they now embark on the first long lap. Do you have any provisional standings on the team race at the moment at this very early stage? With just over 2 kilometres completed, so about a third of the way into the race.
Well, I'm afraid the computer's let us down temporarily.
Mathilde Senechal also up there, running well at this stage. French woman. French under-23 5,000 metre champion. Just as I say that, she's starting to drift back a little bit. Gering, the very good German, finished second in the Darmstadt cross-country meeting recently, which was the de facto German trials. She was racing with the seniors there. So Moller at the moment is quite a long way back in 14th place.
I can give you some news now on the team standings provisionally. Turkey and Britain very close together at the top, and Germany not far behind, and Spain not too far behind.
Yeah, so just looking out there for the third German scorer, that's going to be crucial. See 2 Germans, Datka and Gering, leading the way at the moment in the top 10.
I think the third German scorer, Lea Meyer, is at about 25th place. But don't forget, we saw the Norwegian men win with a third runner in that sort of region, so all is not lost.
As you rightly say, very evenly matched at the moment as we're coming up to the halfway point in this race between Turkey and Great Britain. That was team standings after the 2 short laps, but we're well into this 3rd long lap now.
Er zijn er altijd de 15, 16 mensen die allemaal naar voren en rijden. We hebben de regering bij de Nederland, we hebben Stef, we hebben David, we hebben daar ook bij zitten de volzilver in de eerste Belgische stelwet.
Well, we've already had one Swiss individual medalist with Delish Klarbas taking the silver in the under-20 race. Yara Scherer running very well at this stage. Let's see. Well, Moller is starting to move up now, the tall, blonde-haired figure of the Danish steeplechaser. There doesn't seem to be too much working together. There's not been much communication between Datka and Gering. They're just running their own races, it seems. Matilda Senechal still up there, running very well. And after showing in the early part of the race, now seeing again. Pizik based US University of San Francisco, the Pole. So made a big trip back here. Finished 12th in the NCAA cross-country championships just a few weeks ago. Not a very, very high-quality affair.
Amy Griffiths hitting the front, having just discarded her gloves.
So there we go, the splits, 3,500 metres, 3 laps undergone. Gering leading the way for Germany. Poppy Tank just slipping back a little bit after showing well in the early part of the stage race. And there's Moller. Well, the Danes came here, obviously doing a lot of promotion for the IAAF World Cross Country Championships at the end of March. It's been a very long time. The last Danish gold medal was Carsten Jorgensen back in 1997, when he was a very surprising winner of the senior men's race on that occasion in Portugal. There we go, flicking through the women running in the 40s at the moment. It's still Anna Gering leading the way. Starting to breathe a little bit hard at this stage. Still working very well. 3 Spaniards in the top 15 as well. That may have an impact on the team standings later. But at the moment it's still Gering, Emilie Griffiths, Datka of Germany, 2 Germans in the top 4. Yara Scherer having a great race. We hadn't really tipped her as one to watch, but she's doing extremely well. Veronica Pizik. That's the top 5, and now Moller, having moved steadily up over the course of the last kilometre and a half, is now part of the leading pack. Matilda Senechal digging in, still up there. Also seen moving on, Celia Anton.
Yes, and Spain are only 1 point behind Britain in the team standing, so if she moves further up, that's very crucial for the team. Moller was one of those athletes, Phil, who I didn't realise how good a season she'd had. She competed in the European Championship steeplechase with distinction. She was selected on the IF Continental Cup, so she had a long season, and yet since then she's won several big cross-country races, including the Nordic Championships in Cardiff.
Well, Gehring now surging, trying to get away from the chasing group with Anna Emilie Moller. Just a couple of meters back, and then Chiara Scherer, Miriam Datka, Amy Griffiths. That's the top 5 at the moment. Veronica Pizik and Matilda Senechel. So those 7 now starting to definitely get away, and this is quite a decisive surge now from Anna Gehring. Still about another 4 minutes of running to go, though. Has she made her big effort too early? She's got some very talented runners behind her. Gehring was 12th in last year's race. Almost certainly going to be doing significantly better this year. Well, Moller now starting to put a bit of daylight between herself in 2nd place and Scherer in 3rd. Well, these are very, very treacherous conditions, but she's got clear sight of the course now. She goes over this double hump. Gehring at this stage looking very, very relaxed indeed. And you can see the leading 6 athletes, long shot there. Well, got to be careful around this bend. It's starting to cut up, and it's quite a tight bend.
And that's a serious increase in speed at the front of the race, Phil, from a 4:53 lap to a 4:40.
Yes, I think you can see that. Gehring now just over a kilometre to run. Well, last year Germany dominated this race, 1st and 2nd. Alina Ray and Constance Klausterhaufen. They're not here, but Anna Gehring is certainly flying the flag for Germany and doing it with aplomb. Well, last year Germany also took the silver medal in the team standings. And it was Gehring who was their 2nd scorer. Sorry, I should say 3rd scorer. So she's got 1 medal already from the under-23 races from 12 months ago. Looking as though she's now well on her way towards another medal. Still running very, very confidently as we're by the lake here in the Beekskabergen Wildlife Park.
And in the team standings, it's very, very tight still between Spain and Great Britain. They've both got 3 runners in the top 15. Watch for Spain and Britain changing positions in those last half of this lap. It's going to make all the difference as to where the team gold medal goes.
Germany not that far back in the bronze medal position as well at the moment, but it's still Germany at the front in the individual race thanks to Anna Gehring. 22-year-old German now. Well, she's probably got just a few hundred meters of running to go. Just over about a minute of running. Anna Emilie Moller of Denmark in 2nd place. Chiara Scherer, the surprise of this race. She's doing extremely well, Scherer. Gehring now, well, can't relax. She's got a runner as talented as Anna Emilie Moller behind her, even though she's got quite a significant 10-12 metre gap. She can't relax. You can see Moller doing her best to try and close her. You can hear the Danish supporters, and there's a large contingent here ahead of the World Cross Country Championships, urging Moller to try and close the gap on Gehring, and she is closing the gap, but there's only just over 100 metres or so of running to go.
And might history repeat itself, because Gehring was second in the 2016 under-23, out-kicked by Sofia Nui of Poland, who we know has a great kick.
Well, Muller's now got right up on the shoulder. She's within striking distance of Gehring. This is going to be a tremendous battle. And just a few metres away from turning into the home straight. This is going to be a battle right the way through to the line. Chiara Scherer now looking very comfortable in the bronze medal position, but the gold and silver still very much to be decided. But Gehring still in the lead. Will she need another gear? Has Moller got another gear? Now it's Moller coming through on the inside, sprinting for the line. They're just coming into sight of the line now. 50 metres to go. Moller gritting her teeth. Gehring's going to have to settle for silver. Denmark get its first gold in 21 years, thanks to Anna Emilie Moller. Anna Gehring takes the silver medal for Germany. Well, coming through amazingly quickly over those final 300 metres. There's confirmation, indeed it was, as we originally thought. Pizak of Poland does get the bronze, but gold and silver goes to Moller of Denmark and Gehring of Germany. Veronika Pizak moves up from 8th last year to the podium. Chiara Scherer, who looked, we thought, on course for a bronze medal, slips back to 4th. Celia Anton in 5th for Spain. As we scroll down the rest of the leading finishers. The 7 competitions. So this is the under-23 women's race over the same distance as the men's under-20 race. So that's 6,225 metres. Just over 6 kilometres, so there's one short lap to get things started, and then there's 4 long laps.
And I think it's another really exciting race I'm looking forward to, and I think it is very hard to look past Anna Emilie Moller as an individual for the win. And I think we got great amount we can talk about her, and we will, because she's just a fantastic athlete, and it's great to see her. And one of the other athletes I was interested in was Yasmin Lau, that we can see here on this list, along with Miriam Datka and Anna Tropina and Selina Anton. This is what the host broadcasters have picked out, and Yasmin Lau is an interesting one for me. She's come, I think it was 4th, 5th and 4th.
On your mark.
And that's women's under-23 racing. We go 6,200.
Well, we've been talking about perhaps the key favourites. We're talking about Yasmin Lau in particular, who, just a brief reflection, I saw absolutely delighted with her 5th place a couple of years ago, and absolutely distraught then last year to miss out on the medals. So we've talked about some of the key favourites, as we see Yasmin Lau go straight to the front there, followed by her teammate. I think that's Fabienne Heinz, who finished 10th last year. Who else should we be looking out for?
Well, yes, for me, obviously we say Anna Emilie Moller is a real standout here, and Yasmin Lau, and we've got some really good girls in the British team, very experienced in international cross-country running, whether it be at the European level or the world level. But curse of the commentator seems to be striking today. But like I said, I touched on this Irish team. They've specifically the Irish Athletics Federation specifically brought the American athletes over a day early to help with their jet lag, to get them treated by their physio, to really prepare them for this. And then again, who knows, curse of the commentator, but I think it could be quite interesting. They will, all 3 of them attend the same university in America, so they're used to competing together. It'd be great to see if they can have an impact on this race. And as we're saying, looking forward to the championships being held in Ireland next year. It would be nice to see them have an impact on this race today. Well,
as we look at Yasmin Lau, who finished 4th in last year's under-20 race, 5 returners from the top 10 of last year's under-23 race. So in addition to Anna Emilie Moller, who I suspect we're going to be talking about quite a lot over the course of the next 6 kilometres. We've also got further down the line, we have Celia Anton and Miriam Dabke, who were mentioned at the start of the race. They finished 5th and 6th last year. And a bit further down, we've got Britain's Poppy Tank, who was 9th, and Mathilde Senechal of France, though. We've got 5 returners from the top 10 as well. We didn't mention Tank or Senechal, but we've seen a lot of the athletes who appeared in the previous year's race move up the standings. We're looking here at Christiansen, the Swede, showing very well at this stage.
I think Turkey also have quite a useful team. They've got a few mountain runners in their team, and as Hannah's already pointed out, that is an advantage on a course like this, and we saw Italy do very well in the under-20 women's race with a few mountain runners.
Not quite such an aggressive start as the men's race, or perhaps even the women's under-20 race here. Everybody seems to be quite content to just sit behind Yasmin Lau at the moment. Anna Emilie Moller's obviously just got herself into a nice position. Yeah,
no, this does look a little bit cagey for me, and like we saw with Ingebrigtsen in the junior men's race, it's hard when you got Yasmin Lau's having a go at that downhill, but when you've got an out-and-out favourite, do you let her dictate the race, or do you do your own thing? And I think Yasmin Lau's dictating without necessarily pushing. She's putting herself in the front and in the driving seat, and just sort of waiting for someone else to play their cards. That was interesting there. She really took that downhill very well, and that could be an indication that she feels that's one of her strengths coming through these technical laps.
Well, we didn't mention really Sarah Christiansen, but she does have some good credentials. She was 2nd in what's always a competitive Nordic cross-country championships, and that would have been in the senior ranks, and she's also the Swedish under-23 cross-country champion, so perhaps a little bit underrated, but the Swedes, of course, historically have had some very, very good cross-country runners. We haven't really seen very much of Christiansen on the international stage, although she has had a couple of appearances at the European cross-country championships. Finished 27th as a junior back in 2016. Just improved a little bit 2 years ago. Missed last year's event. She was in the under-23 race back in 2017 when we were all freezing to bits in Samarin. It was biting wind there. You've got to take the rough with the smooth as far as cross-country is concerned, and I think that applies not only to courses but the weather conditions as well. As we're looking now at the race, starting to string out just a little bit as we're about 1,500 metres into the race. The course, it's still remaining fairly firm. There's only 1 or 2 bits and pieces. There's only starting to cut up in a few places as we see Yasmin Lau once again pushing quite hard down the downhill slope with Anna Emilie Moller on her shoulder. One of the Irish contingent in 3rd place at the moment. Nice replay there. Christiansen just a bit further back, and then the Italian Federica Zanna. Zanna had a good domestic season this year, won a couple of races in Italy, so could come up into contention. Did you spot which one of the Irish athletes it was right up there?
It was Steph Cutter is right up there, and she was the champion in the, like I said, in the NCAA Division 2 championships, and she's at Adams State University along with a pair of twins, the Flanagan twins that aren't too far back either. And that's a university at altitude, so they live and train at altitude, and that's quite unique for a European athlete. So that might play to their favour as well.
Well, Cotter, of course, is very experienced also on the European stage. Finished 27th as a junior back in 2017 in Samarin, and also progressed to 25th last year in Tilburg. But she does seem to have come on a bit, as you were saying, since moving to the States and training in a collegiate environment. She's certainly improved over the course of the last 12 months. There we see as we're flicking through. Dutch packing well. They've got 3 in the top 15 at the moment, and the Dutch did well last year in this particular race.
Yes, it is nice to see those girls moving up from the junior age group into the under-23 age group on that Dutch team, and it's nice to see they could maybe do well again today. But I mean, it's spreading out a little bit, but it still doesn't seem tremendously aggressive to me. We're not seeing any big gaps yet, but yeah, they have only done 1 out of 4 laps, so perhaps it's going to happen soon.
Well, we're seeing a couple of the Turks up there, and Celia Anton at the moment is in about 9th place. We picked her out earlier, perhaps the better known of the Spanish team. So there's probably about 15 metres covering the top 15 runners at this stage, but it is Anna Emilie Moller leading the way with Stephanie Cutter just behind her, Yasmin Lau, Sarah Christiansen. Celia Anton there has just moved up a few places. She's now tucked in 5th place.
Well, she's no stranger to European medals, is she? If you look through her CV, she's an awful lot of age group medals at under 20 and under 23 and a range of distances. So might be, yeah, she does look like she's moving well today.
And then if you look back beyond the leading 7, there's Zana of Italy in 6th place at the moment and Heinst of the Netherlands. Then there's another couple of Dutch runners up there in about 9th and 10th place. So the Dutch running very well at the moment, hacking well.
That's what you want to see. If you're 3 to score, but if you look at that Dutch team, they're right up there, and I think it's very interesting to make the shift towards 3 to score. It does really open it up to these nations. You're not scrabbling around desperately for a 4th runner. It really can make it a bit more of an open competition. But the Irish girls as well, they're right up there. If you see, you can see 4 Dutch runners in shot. So even if you have a disaster with one of your top 3, you've still got another one to back it up, and they're looking really strong there.
Well, while this race unravels for the next 20 seconds or so, I think there's mixed views on the 3 to score, 4 to score. Mark, what's your opinion?
Well, yes, it means that countries that have great depth, like Great Britain, for example, are at less of an advantage because of that. But it does mean that countries that obviously don't have that number of available runners can come into the reckoning. And also things can change really quickly. We saw last year in the under-20 men's race when Norway won the team race. They didn't win it this year, they didn't retain it, but the crucial runner made up 8 places in the last lap. So it can make it exciting because it doesn't take a lot for things to change quite a lot when there's only 3 to score.
Do you like 3 to score, or would you go back to the old style 4 to score? Put you on the spot here.
No, for the sake of Great Britain, I'd like to go back to 4th, but I think it's better. I think it's an exciting prospect. You're trying to motivate these athletes to train, to get into the training in September and October and target this. I think 3 to score is a much better carrot for the sort of a motivation across the continent, which I think is more important than Britain just getting, the stronger nations getting medals.
More important than the stronger nations, yeah.
But it's great. You can see Moller's starting to turn the screw here, and it's interesting to see Steph Cutter. Steph Cutter is clearly a game plan here. I wonder, sometimes you can go run with her for as long as I can and see what happens, and it looks like that might be a game plan here.
Well, we're coming up for roughly the halfway point in this race, and I have to say Steph Cutter looks very fresh indeed. I mean, sometimes you come back from the US, and we've seen this on a number of occasions where athletes come off the American collegiate circuit, particularly in the under-23 races, but occasionally in the under-20 race, and they're looking a bit tired. But you also mentioned about a couple of athletes in the under-23 men's race that they were race sharp, and certainly Steph Cutter looks very, very sharp indeed at this moment.
Well, she absolutely does, and I think like I touched on it, it's a deliberate choice from the Irish Athletics Federation to really kind of try and protect and nurture these athletes as well as they can and support them and moving from the American season into the European Championships.
Well, Moller now really, though, working hard at the front, and she's really taken the sting out of everybody else's legs apart from Steph Cutter. Behind her at the moment, the group of 3 battling for 3rd place. It's Celia Anton just moving into 3rd place, followed by Yasmin Lau, almost barging her way into Sarah Christiansen, giving her a bit of a nudge there, but a little bit of contact is not frowned on overtly at cross-country running. It comes with the territory, but now Anna Emilie Moller has really injected some pace here and really moving away. So it's Moller now about 10 metres in front of Stephanie Cutter of Ireland, but a good run this nevertheless from Cutter, and then about 20 metres back to that group of 3 women, but they've been closed down by Zana of Italy as well. So that group of 3 has now become a group of 5, I think, behind them.
No, and this is impressive. I always admire someone like this for pushing himself like Moller is now. She could have been excused for sitting in for another lap. She could have taken a ride. She's had a big year, a tough year, but no, she's come here and set her stall out and really tried to put on a display for the people watching at home and the people watching here.
Well, we were having a quick chat with Anna Emilie at yesterday's press conference. She looked very confident. She said, really, the biggest pressure is the pressure on herself. It's not pressure from her team or pressure looking down the start list. I mean, she wants to do well herself, and that's really the overwhelming and prevailing pressure on her at the moment. Steph Cutter, I mean, would she have looked down the start list and have thought that she would be in second place at the moment in this race? She's obviously coming here confident. Division 2 NCAA champion.
If you grow up running Irish cross country, I'd say this course, you might not think this course was a big deal at all. They have very tough courses over there. They have a tremendous tradition in cross country. I think time and time again you see some of the Irish athletes getting the very best out of themselves, and I think this will have been on her radar. And as we keep saying, particularly looking forward to a home championship next year. And they've got the inspiration in their team of someone like Fionnuala Britton, who we're going to see later, who's really been a real flag bearer for Irish women's cross country running, and that's inspiring. So I think it would always be on their radar to compete well here and be ambitious.
Well, it's looking as though Anna Emilie Moller is really starting to go through the gears. She's looking very, very impressive up the hills here. There's no stopping Moller. And she's looking, even at these very early stages of the race, well on the way to actually defending her title. Well, still about 7 minutes of running to go. So just over about 3 kilometres. We're probably about just beyond the halfway point here. And Moller, though, starting to look as though she's going to add quite significantly to the Danish gold reserves.
It's interesting just to say that, Phil, because she and Henrik Jorgensen are the only Danes to win gold medals, though from the same club. So if she should win again, that's one club that's got 3 gold medals in Denmark.
Henrik Jorgensen or Carsten Jorgensen? Henrik Jorgensen won the London Marathon one time. I very rarely catch you out, but...
You're perfectly right. Known as the Moose.
Known as the Moose, and still a very prominent individual in Danish athletic circles. Yes, and of course he would... Like many people here, he was also a fantastic orienteer as well, wasn't he? Yes.
Well, we can see that Yasmin Lau is starting to try and set herself apart from that larger group there in contention for the bronze medal, and you're not out of contention for the silver medal as well. It's interesting to see Bronwyn Owen of Britain there. Maybe a triathlete I can tout that is going to deliver. She's also a triathlete back in Britain as well, so it's, she's moving through that field well and getting in the mix for that bronze medal.
But Moller just looking absolutely magnificent at this point. I mean, we've had 3 very convincing champions so far, none of which have come down to a sprint finish for the line. But out of the 3 that we've had so far, and comparing them with Moller just looks majestic. I mean, Ingebrigtsen was great, Batacletti was great, Gressier was great. So we've had 3 defending champions who've retained their titles already, and it's now looking as though Moller's going to be a 4th.
This is really something, isn't it, for people to come back and retain their titles. I know I said it already, but she's making it look easy. This is not easy. It's 2 months since Doha. She was breaking records in Doha, running tremendously fast, and entering this last lap with just a huge lead and looking supreme.
Well, 1.5 kilometres of running still to go, and as Hannah was saying, absolutely terrific running from Moller. As I say, I mean, we've seen 3 tremendous champions already defend their titles. It's looking as though it's going to be a 4th here as we glance back. Well, Yasmin Lau is bearing down on Stephanie Cotter. Yasmin Lau, after the disappointments of last year, looks as though she's going to make up for that.
I would love to see Lau get a medal here. She's been a consistent face in European cross-country running, and it's hard to believe she's not got one already, so I hope she can hold on for one.
I'll tell you what as well, she's an effervescent and very entertaining character. I certainly would not begrudge Yasmin Lau a medal. Chatted to her on a couple of occasions over the years, and she was very much the public face of of the Tilburg cross-country championships last year, and although there was other Dutch successes and she did get on the podium as part of the team, she was bitterly disappointed not to get amongst the medals. She just ran out of steam about a kilometre before the ground. Is that Anton?
Yeah, it is. It's Anton, yeah. It looks so good, you know, maybe as much as 5 minutes ago, and obviously it's having problems there.
No problems, though, for Anna Emilie Moller. She's speeding away here, and she does look as though she's well on her way to second Spa European Cross-Country Championships.
Well, it's interesting to see the battle going on between Cutter and Lau. That could be quite indicative of the team title there. It looked very close between Ireland and the Netherlands a few minutes ago. It'd be interesting to see what it is on this lap and what it is at the end.
Yes, we've not been getting any intermediate updates on the team competition, and looks very open. It doesn't look as though there's any physical problems. It just looks as though she's just run out of steam, and she did come here fit. There wasn't any suggestion she was in a bad way. And
this is why you cannot hand medals out to each other, to people. It could be anything. It can be illness, it can be food poisoning, it can be emotional. There's lots of things to overcome to produce a successful performance.
We just saw there also, as we were seeing a replay of Celia Anton dropping out, we saw Samai Erol, back in 2015, the under-20 European under-20 steeplechase champion, and not having the best of days, the Turks. And the Turks, well, we expected more, I think, from the Turkish women, but and especially as they've got some mountain running credentials, but they don't look as though they're going to feature in this particular race. Looks as though Anna Emilie Moller could quickly transfer her skills to the mountains, looking at the way she's running up here. I don't think there's too many mountains in Denmark, but...
Well, a lot of probably a lot of the Nordic sports probably lend themselves to being good on terrain like that. See, this for me, with that Dutch runner in we've got Lau, and then being backed up by her teammate as well. They're looking really good for that team position there.
Yes, Fabian Hens there featuring very well. But it'd be nice. Let's see if we try and guesstimate. We're not getting any shots which give us a chance of actually guesstimating what the big gap is there. But Stephanie Cutter and Yasmin Lau are out of shot there, and I think that's probably looking over the course, and we'll have a fighting chance of estimating. I think there must be now about 200 metres or more between Moller and the chasing pair of Lau.
No, I think we could well be seeing the largest winning victory, which, well, who's to say? We've got two more individual races to go, but this is very impressive.
Very quickly, Mark, biggest ever margin of victory?
Yes.
You're the stats man?
I have to do some maths on that, I'm afraid. But what I was going to say was that her last full lap was 10 seconds quicker than the previous lap, or 9 seconds quicker than the previous lap, and she was still in front anyway, so she's just piling it on.
No, it's going to be interesting. I think the psychology with Cutter getting caught by Lau, Cutter's been out there on her own, and it can go one of two ways. It can be positive, to have someone to wake you up and reinvigorate you, or it can be sort of soul destroying. You should be running for probably 5 minutes worrying about getting caught, and then it happens. It's very interesting to see people's sort of emotional response in that environment.
Well, Anna Emilie Moller, she graciously attended yesterday's press conference and gave us some insight. And this is the present. She's well on her way here to retaining her Spa European Cross-Country Championships under-23 title. But the future is astonishingly bright for her. I can't wait to see what she does on the track during the course of the summer. She's such a talented athlete, and one imagines that she could well be approaching about 9:10 for the steeplechase come the summer. But at this moment, she's coming in with just under 100 metres to go. 50, 40, 30, 20 metres to go. And Anna Emilie Moller from Denmark is the Spa European Cross-Country Championships Women's Under-23 champion for the second year running.
And I know we don't talk about times that much, but if this is that is an impressive time for just over 6,000 metres on a course like this. But looks like Lau has really got away from Cutter here in this last section, and like I said, absolutely delighted to see Yasmin Lau get an international medal. She really deserves an individual cross-country medal.
Yasmin Lau, 30 seconds behind and counting, but nevertheless an outstanding run for the Netherlands. Yasmin Lau, and absolutely delighted. She's finally standing on the podium in her own right, and an excellent bronze medal for Stephanie Cutter of Ireland. A terrific performance there from the McAdams State University student, wearing the familiar green vest of Ireland. Doesn't need to just applaud herself, and she was getting plenty of that applause as she came through to the finish line. So confirmation of the leading standings. Moller of Denmark winning by the massive margin of 39 seconds over Jasmine Lau of the Netherlands, and Ireland's Stephanie Cutter taking the bronze medal. And fourth place also goes to the Netherlands, Jasmine Bakker. And as Hannah was saying, with a couple of bits of quick scribbling on the paper in front of her, unofficially, we think the Netherlands might just have clinched the team title. There we have Diane van Es in 11th place. That makes it 3 in the top 11 for the Netherlands, and that's usually good enough. Scrolling down, well, Mathilde Senechal finished 10th last year, 23rd this time.